BSO nigga, TG.
You know I wait for the commas. Money come back like it's karma. It's no bunny thick all the coming. God said ain't for no drama. Leave a broke nigga hating. You steady pushing that garbage. Got a slug in me first. She steady showing the cars. Kobe with all of my niggas. Shorty do all of my niggas. It's no bunny dripping with thickness. I tell her to hop in the whip. She get to grabbing my phone. I think she giving me digits. She get to grabbing my dick. I think she in love with a nigga. Henny ain't coming for cheap. And VIP with the liquor. My whole crew for the conflict. Like we fucking with Twister. Big money, all that I know. I bring the show to the show. I bring the hoe to the show. Bitches, money and dro. You know I wait for the commas. Money come back like it's karma. It's no bunny thick all the common. God said ain't for no drama. Leave a broke nigga hating. You steady pushing that garbage. Got a slug in me first. She steady showing the cars. You know I wait for the commas. Money come back like it's karma. It's no bunny thick all the common. God said ain't for no drama. Leave a broke nigga hating. You steady pushing that garbage. Got a slug in me first. She steady showing the cars. I'm Kobe with all of my niggas. Shorty do all of my niggas. It's no bunny dripping with thickness. I tell her to hop in the whip. She get to grab my phone. I think she giving me digits. She get to grabbing my dick. I think she in love with a nigga. Henny ain't coming for cheap. And VIP with the liquor. My whole crew for the conflict. Like we fucking with Twister. Big money, all that I know. I bring the show to the show. I bring the hoe to the show. Bitches, money and dro. You know I wait for the commas. Money come back like it's karma. It's no bunny thick all the common. God said ain't for no drama. Leave a broke nigga hating. You steady pushing that garbage. Got a slug in me first. She steady showing the cars. You know I wait for the commas. Money come back like it's karma. It's no bunny thick all the common. God said ain't for no drama. Leave a broke nigga hating. You steady pushing that garbage. Got a slug in me first. She steady showing the cars.
Probably after these couple laps, next time. So I can get ones up, I can get ones up, pull up in a foreign truck. Hoes really want really want more. Bust the stardust, so they can start up. So I'm pulling in the mood too. Fuck what I do to bitches on my bitch that took out a Ruben. I get a Duban, I got a jersey, that just not a throwback. I'm finna ball in the league where you throw that. Bitch, let me fuck on your face where you throw that. I'm finna chinchilla on my coat. I need it, I'ma coat it. I need it, whoa. Nigga come in and he whipping that cold. I put on rose gold, I look too cold. Bitch on my dick cause a nigga too froze. I pull a double cup, dropping the fall. Whoa. Travel the world, travel the globe. Fuck on your girl, fuck on your hoe. You won't get a bag shit, that is a fake shit. After I'm done with that, you can have fun with that. What's the fuck, nigga? We'll call me lumberjack. Holla, nigga, we never run from that. Solving, nigga, don't be with a drummer head. Warmed up, nigga getting warmed up. Push through in a foreign truck. Boss, nigga, whoa. Just up in my toe, roll it up with the bitch on the stove. Know it's us hitting licks on the low. So get in my crib, I put in the code. Stick to the code, I never fold. Don't lose the soul, swerve in a row. Can't get in the most, I do the most.
SB Talk Sports Real takes over Fake Debates, coming at you live every Monday and Friday at 7 p.m. I am Shaq Barnes, aka SB Talk Sports, here with my co-host Sean Webb. What's going on, Sean? How are you feeling today?
SB, I'm doing good, brother. It's Friday. It's a long weekend, so feeling good, ready to get into this thing. Got some serious stuff to discuss tonight, so definitely looking forward to getting into it with you, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, Real takes over Fake Debates with SB and Sean is live every Monday and Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, and Sean, a key word that you said was get into it because you text me something today. And I had a take on your old platform, U3, when I defended Brady. And every time I defend this like crazy as a Chargers fan. I hate that I defend this guy because I don't like the Patriots at all. I don't necessarily 100% like Brady, but I respect him. He's the GOAT. So another guy who I think that believe that you think is GOAT. But before that, let's go ahead and get to the chat too. Yo, my boy Dylan in the building. Salute my brother Dylan. Salute GOAT. Salute Tiff. Salute Julia. Salute everybody. So if you guys are watching, make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe. And also, we usually do the Real Takes on Faith Debate mailbag. I forgot to post it. That's my bad. But if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure you guys ask the questions in the chat and we can definitely answer. But let's get into the show. Let's not waste anybody's time. So, reason why I said, man, Sean wanted to get into me on today's episode of the show because he sent me an article about this. And Sean, I'll let you take the field on this story because you sent the article to me. So go ahead.
All right. So Joe Montana, everybody knows Joe Montana, legendary 49ers quarterback, considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, if not the greatest.
If not the.
Did an interview with Men's Health, and he was asked about his GOAT quarterback. And he listed he said the best quarterback ever, in his view, was Dan Marino. But he also separated best from greatest. So when he was talking about best, he was talking about their attributes, their abilities, what they, could do, the ball, blah, blah, blah. When he's talking about greatest is in terms of accomplishment.
Right.
And so that's where the separator came in between the two. Now, SB, I've known you for a few years now. I have long said on many platforms, and I will say it on this platform, I believe Dan Marino is the best quarterback I've ever seen. He is the best quarterback I've ever seen. What he could do in the pocket, the way he was able to throw guys open, throw with anticipation. Just quick release. He was a problem. He wasn't a runner, but he had great footwork and his ability to move and change platforms in the pocket. So when Joe said he's the best ever, that's what I've always said. I think he's the best ever. Now, obviously, he didn't have the team accomplishments, which we can get into another conversation about that, about Dan Marino, including losing a heartbreaking game to the Chargers in the mid-90s because of the kicker. But but either way,
any more W, we'll take it.
Yeah, either way. So I agree with Joe Montana that Dan Marino is the best quarterback ever, just in terms of what he could do with the position and at the position. But is he the greatest ever? No. Again, we talk about greatest ever. That's accomplishment. That's achievement. And that's where you have the Brady and the Montana and Peyton Manning conversation.
I was surprised you said Brady because I know you don't have Brady as one. You don't. You didn't have to say Brady. You know you don't got Brady as one.
So my thing about GOAT quarterbacks is I think it's one we have to consider that a lot of these quarterbacks took off after 2006 when the rules changed, things like that. Saw the escalation in numbers. 2 years before Brady has a 50 touchdown season with Randy Moss, he threw 50 touchdowns in those 2 seasons combined because of all the rule changes and things like that.
Yeah.
So again, that's where when we talk about the GOAT quarterbacks and the numbers and all that stuff, there was going to be an explosion. And again, I don't think there's a GOAT quarterback. I do think there are guys who, if you ask a lot of defensive coordinators or defensive coaches, there are certain guys who scared you more than others. Brady was not a guy who necessarily scared you, but you understood what he did and what he did well. I heard Ryan Clark the other day talking about that Aaron Rodgers scared them more than Tom Brady because of Aaron Rodgers' physical abilities, and he could move with the football, but he also had a great mind for the game. Brady has the same type of mind. It's just Brady's mind was a little more advanced because he'd been doing it longer than Aaron Rodgers. Right. So it's all about preference ultimately. But I'm glad we're having this conversation because again, and I like that Joe Montana did say himself when he talked about the best, he talked about
Gotta be humble.
And somebody, well, no, just somebody he played against that he had a great deal of respect for.
I respect that.
And obviously he knew physically what Dan Marino could do.
Right. And this, see, okay, so now this is my problem, what I have with the best thing. And then I'm glad Dylan has a question right here. Let's ask this question before I get into my take. Said, so you think Mahomes will pass Brady as being the GOAT at the rate he's going at? I think he will. What you think, Sean?
I think it's very possible because he can do a lot of the things that Marino could do. And he's doing it kind of similar to Marino because he doesn't have a great number one receiver. His number one is a tight end. You know, Marino had the Marx brothers. They were very good together, but they weren't Hall of Famers or anything like that. So yeah, salute Beast. So I think that again, that's where this is an interesting conversation. When you talk about just the physical attributes of somebody like Mahomes and how some of his physical attributes, not all, but some of them do compare to Marino. But Marino, again, for me, is the best I've ever seen.
Which is understandable, right, Sean? And that's why I said I had a theory, right? And I'm glad, Dylan, you asked that question. What is the SB theory? Where is my I got an all-time ranking theory. I feel that when it comes to NFL players, we don't rank them off. This is the only sport we don't really rank players off their accomplishment, or this is the only sport where people are trying to make a case that somebody is better because of talent. And I hate that, because if that's the case by your logic, then the question that Dylan just asked, Mahomes should already be better than Tom Brady or Dan Marino or Joe Montana already. But you wouldn't necessarily say it because you don't feel like Mahomes accomplished enough or did anything, because everybody got Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice undoubtedly is the best wide receiver of all time. But if we going up who's really the best talent-wise, why not Randy Moss or at least Megatron don't have a case to be better than them because they didn't put in the work as the other guy did. So I think, like, when you try to say, I think best is just a slick way to just say somebody is more skilled than somebody. And I feel like football is the only sport that we do that at, because nobody in their right mind to say Megatron is better than Jerry Rice. But Megatron is definitely more skilled and more talented than he was. So you can say was he the best because of his talent, or Randy Moss was the best because of his talent? But Jerry Rice put in more work and was just as good as those guys. And that's why I feel like that's the problem that I feel like football is the only sport we do that. We literally say a guy who put in just as much work, but he say he's more skilled than you say he should be better. Or you got somebody put way more work, but even the same guy who you feel is more skilled, you just say like he's best. And I think that's what Joe Montana did to me. And that's why I didn't kind of like it, because I'm just like, that's just another way to discredit Brady instead of just saying like, yeah, Brady's the best guy because he's the GOAT. Nah, we just gonna say, yeah, Dan Marino, because Dan Marino was nice. And I get that he's underachieving his career. He could have done more. But I can say the same thing about Patrick Mahomes right now, can I? Because this is one of the most skilled guys we've seen.
And again, I think for Mahomes is still early in his career, right? Mahomes only been in the league 6 years. Crazy as it may sound, he's only been in the league 6 years.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, low-key.
And has only been a starter for 5 years. So the fact is like, you know, he's still got a little ways to go. I think other sports do what you talked about too, though. I just think it's more prevalent in the more popular sports.
Okay.
But people do it in baseball. They do it in tennis. They do it in boxing. They do it in other sports. It's just nature of the beast. I think there are guys that are more skilled that don't always get the appreciation for their skill in a team sport. And the way we're kind of trending now is we are willing to look at those guys and say, hey, this guy does have this skill set that is very translatable. And one of the points Dan Marino or Joe Montana made when he was talking about Dan Marino was Dan Marino was doing stuff in an era where you could literally beat the crap out of receivers and you could kill the quarterback. Now you can't touch receivers, and we know you better not touch the quarterback. You better lay him down gently and put a blanket over him to get the sack. You know, so that's the other side of it. If he played in this era where you have that freedom of release and freedom of movement, I mean, he would be
Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, to a degree, yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
To a degree, yeah, absolutely. But that said, I'm just as a pure thrower of the football, there's nobody better than Dan.
But then they asked my question too, though, when it comes to like a guy like Vic and how talented Vic was. Do you think Vic was better than a lot? Because I think talent-wise, Vic is way better than Tom Brady, but he ain't greater than him. He ain't be in the conversation. So
Well,
what warrants that to put you in that conversation? Because like, is it a certain amount of accomplishment or is it just off your skill alone?
I think it's a certain amount of individual accomplishment that may not always be buoyed with team accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, football, for those people that don't know, is the ultimate team sport.
Agreed.
When people talk about Brady, and the first thing they say is 7 Super Bowls, my retort to that is always going to be that's a team accomplishment.
Okay.
That's not to say that he wasn't a part of it. That's not to say that he didn't have his role to play in it. But I've seen him win the Super Bowl where he threw for less than 200 yards. That Super Bowl I ever saw him play in,
the one he lost against the Eagles,
and lost. So don't say 7 Super Bowls. Talk to me about what he does well, what he does great. I've said, and I will say this: he is the greatest winner at the position of quarterback ever.
That's disrespectful, Sean. Come on.
He's a
Sean.
He's the greatest winner at the position ever. But I don't think there's a universal GOAT quarterback. No, there's not a universal GOAT quarterback.
I think he gets everything that you need. He has the numbers. He has the talent that he's good enough.
But SB, the problem with the numbers, and this is what I keep talking about. You can't use the numbers as the delineator because the numbers exploded when the rules changed. Right? So, it was a 4,000 yard season was very uncommon before 2006. Now, if you don't have a 4,000 yard season, people say, well, can he throw the football?
But okay, two things can be true, right? That I know because the guys in the Montana, Moreno area, it was harder for them in quarterback because you could knock the quarterback's head off. I agree with you on that.
And the receivers.
But you still have to actually make plays. They did make the game easier for the offense. I cannot deny that. But is it fair to tax players off the rule changes of what they did during the era? I don't think that's like taxing players now, like, you know what I'm saying, in the past for bad competition. So I'll say no. I don't think you can tax them for that though. But I'm not denying it. I can't disagree that the facts is the facts. The numbers did go up.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you tax them. I'm just saying to put the context around why we saw the numbers explode. Right? There were I give you an example. So from 1984 to like 1994 for 10 seasons, Dan Marino was the leading passer in the NFL with numbers wise. You know who was second? Take a guess.
Probably Montana.
No.
I'm trying to think. I don't know who.
It wasn't Elway.
It wasn't Elway either? I was going to say Elway because I figured like the top guys is obvious.
Yeah. It wasn't Elway.
Okay.
It was Warren Moon.
Oh, shout out Warren Moon. Yeah, Warren Moon, nice.
So that's what I'm saying. So when you talk about the numbers, numbers for Montana and Elway, those guys put up in their career in 10 or 15 years are going to be dwarfed by guys who we wouldn't even consider Hall of Famers.
No, that's what I'm saying. You got to put it in the context of the era because also this what I hate. That's what I hate what y'all kind of do too with the old era. I get they getting their head knocked off, but don't just be like, well, just because the rule changed, they numbers don't matter no more. And since you're not getting your head knocked off, your numbers don't compare to the numbers in the 90s. Because that's not necessarily fair to the guys today. Because just because you got their head knocked off, you still got to throw the ball, put the placement there, and do your job as a QB.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they made the job
easier
when you literally can't touch a guy. It's literally don't touch the quarterback. Don't touch the quarterback. Don't touch the quarterback. If you do touch him, you better be very careful about how you touch him or how you take him down. Because again, this is a more offensive. They wanted more scoring. They wanted more highlights. They wanted to bring in the people who
casual fans.
Yes, they wanted to bring in the fan who would have never touched a football field because that wasn't their life. So they knew what they were doing. Roger Goodell knew what he was doing. So that's why I don't necessarily use the numbers as the delineator for for great. It is looking at a certain individual skill set. And again, that individual skill set may not always lead to team success, because as great as Tom Brady is, and I never not once said he wasn't great, I've never seen Tom Brady kick a field goal. I've never seen Tom Brady break up a pass. I've never seen Tom Brady.
But he a quarterback, Sean. Come on, Sean. He's a quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. He's a quarterback who played on a team, a really good team, with great players. So it wasn't just him.
But he played with that team and they lost pieces and they was bad and they still took them to the promised land too.
Well, they were never bad. They may not have been as good as they were early on.
They wasn't the favorites, and he still got them to where they need to go to.
They were always in the conversation though. SB.
Oh, because it's the pay. They were like the Spurs. They were like, you always gonna give them a chance.
They're always in the conversation. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're always in the conversation. Yeah.
So with that logic too, and I got a couple questions I want to get to. So with that logic, I got a question there. So who you got as the greatest football player of all time then? Because by your logic and my logic too, who I think is better than everybody, I'm gonna say his name after you go.
The greatest football player, greatest overall football player ever. Yes. If I had to pin it to one person, it'd be Lawrence Taylor.
But he only played one side of the ball, and he really only went out the quarterback. When you say a guy like Deion Sanders, who affected the game on both sides of the ball?
I wouldn't say Deion. I would say, for me, the reason why LT would be number one, and again, I don't like saying greatest football player ever, because again, you are only playing one side of the ball. Why no football player should be in the conversation the greatest athlete of all time, because you only played one side of the football tradition.
As I said, Deion Sanders.
Well, I mean, again, that was gadget stuff. He wasn't playing offense. It wasn't like he was going out playing 40, 50 snaps on offense and then going 40 or 50 on defense.
No, that's humanly impossible. That was humanly impossible.
Well, back in the day, there were guys who did it, like Chuck Bignari for the Eagles, things like that. So there were some old school throwback guys who played both sides of the ball the entire game. But that's it's crazy. But that being said, I think there is a certain thing when you talk about greatest football player ever. Lawrence Taylor, the reason why he's in that short conversation, I don't think it's an absolute. I think it's a conversation. The reason why he's in that conversation is he literally changed the way offenses had to work. They had to invent a position to try to slow him down. There was a position called the H-back created to stop and slow down Lawrence Taylor, because backs couldn't do it. So they create the H-back position. And this credit to the Washington Redskins at the time, Joe Gibbs and them, creating the H-back position to try to slow down Lawrence Taylor, because he was that dominant. He was that good.
Yeah, he was. I think like if you had to argue, I think he is the greatest defender of all time. And I do agree that we need to like just break people off their positions alone. And but I think LT, if you come to defense, I think it's between him, Deion, and probably Reggie White for me, that I pick as the greatest defenders. No question. But then, like you said, if we go into the conversation of greatest by position, Tom Brady is the greatest by position. Best, greatest, wherever you want to put it, Sean. Tom Brady is that guy. He got the numbers, he got the rings, he got the skill,
he's
everything, Sean.
He's in the conversation, but he wasn't without flaw. And he
agreed. And
he wasn't without limit. And that's what I think people had like, oh, Tom Brady. It's like, no, let's keep in context what he walked into. And also, let's not forget that he might have had some advantages that everybody didn't have either.
Hey man, look, man, the league with the rules, he just followed the rules. That's all.
No. They wouldn't follow the rules. That's the point.
Hey, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying to win. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying to win, Sean.
But it's all good. No, it's fine.
Yeah, but okay. Dylan had a question. If Mahomes got drafted to a different team, do you still think he'd be as good? Like if he got drafted to the Bears, no. If he didn't get Andy Reid and go to the Chiefs at that perfect time, I wanted to let him sit down and develop, and then one got the quarterback whisperer at Andy Reid. And Sean, I ain't gonna lie, I think Andy Reid better than Bill Belichick all the time. I'm ready to fold. I'm ready to push that narrative. I'm ready to fold. And I'll get into that question after I want your opinion on this. And I think he just went to the perfect system for his skill set. So I don't believe Patrick Mahomes would he still be great? Would he be a starter? Possibly, yes. But would he be the Patrick Mahomes we got right now? No.
No, I mean, Andy Reid has shown throughout his career his ability to get the best out of quarterbacks.
The whisperer.
He's the whisperer. Any quarterback that has been under Andy Reid has largely probably had the best part of their career under Andy Reid. It's a different animal when you with that guy. It's just a different animal. We've seen it. And also the fact that Patrick Mahomes didn't go to a team that was terrible.
That helped too.
They traded up from 27 to 10.
10 to get him. Woo, finesse.
So you drafting at 27, what does that tell you? That tells you that you were a team that was either very close to the AFC or NFC championship game, or we're at least a divisional team.
Yep.
So he went to a great situation in terms of they were a good team. Couple that with the fact that he goes with Andy, it's with Andy Reid. And he's even said as much. So now don't get me wrong. Yeah, they needed that next level quarterback to get to the heights they've gotten to, because Alex Smith wasn't getting them there. Shout out to Alex Smith, but it's a combination of things. It's very few players transcend bad situations.
Yeah, and that's rare.
Very few. It is very few.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare when you're above the system. Yeah. But yeah, the reason why I said that Andy Reid pretty much just harped on, I think I'm taking Andy Reid over Belichick now because of that. Like, only thing Andy Reid was really missing was like consistently winning. Now he got the Super Bowls on the resume, but I'm just like the quarterback whisperer thing, where it's like he could take any guy and make them elite. Like, bro, he took Michael Vick from out of, and I laugh saying it this way, but I have to say it this way so people understand the magnitude of Michael Vick out of jail. Ain't played football because he had a situation going on. Shout out Vic, one of the greatest. And literally made Michael Vick look better than he did in Atlanta. He made him look like a pure quarterback. When people any doubt they had about Vic as a quarterback, one was coming back. But I feel like he made Vic even. I'm not saying he was better than Vic in Atlanta. Vic in Atlanta was different. But you get the whole point of the gist that I'm saying. That like
he was better than Vic in Atlanta.
But a lot of people don't like saying that. But I mean, like playing quarterback wise, he was.
He was better than Vic in Atlanta. But again, it's not just Andy Reid. It's also Michael Vick coming off of a situation where he had gone through basically hell for 2 years, lost part of his career going to prison, knew this was a great chance for him, and he put in work.
He did.
He didn't always do in Atlanta, and he's admitted he didn't always do in Atlanta. Had he put in the work in Atlanta, and had he been a guy who was in the film room and being a 24/7 quarterback, because that's really what it's about, is being a 24/7 quarterback, maybe he would have reached those heights in Atlanta. But a lot of it was he was so committed to getting his career back on track. And again, he had things kind of break his way. He came back, he was a third string quarterback. They trade Donovan after the season. He gets bumped to the backup. Kevin Cobb gets hurt in the first game against
First game.
It comes in and it's like
it was on and popping.
Here we go. And so a lot of things, just were aligned his way for him to be successful. But a big part of it was he committed to being a quarterback and doing the work. Wasn't worried about being a celebrity. Because in Atlanta, he was a celebrity.
Yeah, he was in Atlanta. Hey,
I
forgot Vic had some shoes too. I had to go back and look. I'm like, man, I remember these shoes. I never knew they was Vic's though.
Yeah,
they wasn't that bad too though.
They weren't bad. And they were made for turf. So it was like, So I mean, he was that dude in terms of celebrity. But when he became a quarterback,
he was there. Yeah,
it
was on and popping. Yeah. Dylan had another. He said NFL needs to do something about these unnecessary roughing calls. You can't even touch the QB without throwing a flag.
Absolutely. Agreed.
And he said Brady is just the GOAT, man. Tell him again, man. He's just the GOAT.
Listen, yeah.
Junior said you can't tax Brady for winning, though. Tell him again. He's winning. I guess is when he said Detroit depressed Pistons fan said, yo.
Yeah.
I agree. Dylan said, I agree with LT and Deion probably being one of the best defensive players of all time. Yes, sir. Go said, nah. Mahomes will still be elite. You can argue Reed being one of the best coaches. He might already be the best. Yeah, I think now he's got a case. I think so. I know everybody give Bill Belichick the nod, but I one thing I do say about Bill Belichick, what's going on that I don't like is like, yes, now we got a guy who's in a conversation with him, and now everybody just dissing Bill Belichick. Now Bill Belichick ain't really that good of a coach. It was Brady. It was a defense. It was just the teams already said he really do that. I'm like, or they was cheating, so don't really give him credit. I'm like, don't do that. Like, I'm not going. I think Andy Reid might be better, but we're not going to just disrespect Bill Belichick like he's not one of them. But Sean, but that's my theory though about I think like we do the NFL different. Like I think we value talent. Like I agree, we do it more in all sports, but I feel like NFL is the only sport where you would try to argue talent over everything else. And speaking of arguing talent, because I knew we was gonna get to this point, so let's do Tom Brady versus the field. I got to look up all-time great quarterbacks. I don't think none of these guys better than Tom Brady, but we're gonna play against Tom Brady versus the field. You ready for this, Sean? Because I know you're gonna cap for this.
I just want to say to the people watching, thank you for watching. Get ready for the cap. And
all right, okay. Let's go ahead. Let's start off sweet. Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes.
So wait. So the question is, who am I drafting or who am I taking?
No, who greater? Tom Brady versus Phil. Who's greater?
I mean, that's not a fair comparison, SB.
That's the first guy. Who? Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes.
Are we saying who's greater or who's better?
Yes, who's greter? See, no, it ain't about talent. See, I'm trying to use the talent
because this
who's greater? Who's greater?
Earlier, who's greater in terms of accomplishment is Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. Look, it hurts you that bad to take Tom Brady better.
The talent is Patrick Mahomes.
It's Brady. So look, we gonna accept that Brady when he trying to avoid it, y'all. It's Brady. Okay,
it's really not. But okay,
no, say Brady. Just say Brady. Just say Brady, Sean.
It's really not.
Okay. All right. Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, it's Brady.
Okay. Tom Brady, Brett Favre.
Brady.
Okay. Tom Brady, Troy Aikman.
Oh, easily Brady.
Okay.
Troy Aikman, one of the most overrated quarterbacks ever.
Okay, no, I'm just checking the temperature. Check the temperature of the room. Tom Brady, Drew Brees.
Brady.
Okay. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning.
Peyton.
All right. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
More MVPs.
That's
Rodgers.
Crazy.
Aaron Rodgers. More MVPs.
John Elway.
Elway.
Dan Marino.
Dan.
Tom Brady. Joe Montana, Tom Brady.
Joe.
So by that logic that I'm hearing, that means you got Tom Brady like 6 all time, 5th or 6th QB all time.
I have him as a tier 1 quarterback of all time.
See, that's a cop out. That is a cop out, but he's at the end of your tier list, though.
No, he's just in tier 1. They're just guys. I think again, SB, I have conversations with guys who play in the NFL and we talk, stuff like that, and guys particularly who play defense or may have coached on defense. One of the things we talk about is the guys that scare you more. The Elways, the Rodgers, those quarterbacks that had the talent to throw the football but also could move, those are the guys that scare you more. They knew Brady wasn't moving. So it wasn't that they weren't. They just didn't fear him like they would fear an Elway or an Aaron Rodgers or again somebody like that, or Steve Young, somebody like that. The guys who could move, and you got to be on the lookout for that. That's what would keep defenses up at night. It ain't no slight to Brady. It's just you generally knew where Brady was going to be, and the ball was going to come out quick because Brady don't like to get hit.
Yeah, it's going to be quick every time. The quickest. But I'm just saying though.
Yeah. So
this is all about argument, and I ain't got to go into detail. Brady has more rings than a lot of these guys. Brady has better numbers. Now we got to start for them. He has better numbers, more touchdowns.
Listen, Robert Horry got more rings.
But this ain't a Robert Horry situation. This is the guy. That's the guy.
He's the quarterback, but he's not. But he is not. Again, as I said, how many game-winning field goals has Tom Brady kicked in his career?
But how many guys was in a dynasty situation, go to another team and win a championship? That's some video game stuff.
And again, wait, hold on.
He went to a new team and won, Sean.
Hold on, SB. That's so overblown, SB. Because again, look at that season. First and foremost, they literally won in spite of Tom Brady, not because of Tom Brady in the playoffs. He had 3 interceptions against Green Bay. Now I can tell you, if Tom Brady didn't have the complexion for protection, Tom Brady would have got creamed.
Okay, but a guy that you had over him, Aaron Rodgers, who he didn't show up in that second half of that game either. Though.
Hold on. And I'm not saying the Bucs didn't win the game. I'm saying they won the game in spite of Tom Brady.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying. In the Super Bowl, Leonard Fournette had a better game than Tom Brady. Go back and watch the Super Bowl.
Tom Brady. The Brady impact holds more weight than Leonard Fournette.
This is where, and this is my stance on this, SB. I do not tie team accomplishment to one person.
Okay, that's understandable.
It ain't tennis. That's all I'm saying.
Winning is the quarterback. That's the quarterback thing. They always get to the quarterback. I agree. That's wrong, but they give it to the quarterback. Exactly, Julian. He still won.
Yeah. Okay. No, the team won. He's a part of the team. The team won.
But okay, so can you replace that year? Replace Tom Brady with any quarterback? Do they still win? If Jameis Winston was their starting quarterback, do they still win? I think not.
I don't know. It's. I think the problem is it's hypothetical. We don't know. What I do know.
The Brady effect is real.
What I do know is they changed the offense halfway through the season because Tom Brady was on his way to a career high of interceptions, just like every quarterback their first year under Bruce Arians throws. They changed the offense, and you add, and it wasn't the exact same team because that team didn't have Tristan. The year before didn't have Tristan Wirfs, didn't have Leonard Fournette, didn't have Rob Gronkowski, didn't have Antonio Brown. I can keep going.
It's the ultimate team sport. Brady said, "Look, when you got a guy of the impact of Brady, when you got the greatest quarterback of all time, you have to put the team in position to win."
And again, and they're paying for it now. So I hope Buccaneers fans, you enjoyed your microwave championship because
that's disrespectful, Sean. That's disingenuous. You said that's a microwave championship.
Literally. Hold on. Let me ask you something, SB. In the last 5 years, would you rather be the Buccaneers or would you rather be the Packers? For the whole 5 years.
The Buccaneers, the Packers ain't won nothing. They've got one ring too. We talking about two teams with one ring.
No, I'm saying in the last 5 years, when you just look at, would you rather be the 49ers or the Buccaneers in the last 5 years?
The Buccaneers, because they won.
And the only reason why you're saying that is because they won one Super Bowl.
Yes.
They didn't sustain it. It don't matter. Anybody can get one. We've seen teams get one. Can you sustain it?
You talking to a guy? You talking to a guy? You see my logo right here?
Well, yeah. And
my team don't got a ring. I'm a ring.
And you're literally in the same division with a team that everybody's talking about can go on this dynasty run because of how they built it. They haven't gone out and made a bunch of crazy moves to kill their cap. That's why they literally are in contention for the next 5 to 10 years, as long as they got Mahomes and Andy Reid and those guys. So that's what I'm saying. So anybody can get one, even a garbage can gets a steak.
But Sean, like what you said is true, but you comparing it to teams who are competitive and ain't won. I'd rather go all in for one and suffer the next 5 years instead of competing for 5 years.
But that's not the whole thing. That's literally a microwave mentality when it comes to teams.
I mean, as long as you win, for me, I'm taking a W.
And again, I don't think you can sustain that way. I think it's how did you build it? What type of greatness? When we talk about greatness ain't one season. Greatness is sustained.
Okay, now I agree, right?
And that's all I'm saying. So when I look at the 49ers over the last 5 years, the 49ers have been more successful than the Buccaneers. Even though the Buccaneers did win that one chip, the 49ers have been more successful because they built it to sustain. Now, if they can figure out the quarterback situation, they might even sustain it longer.
But all I'm saying is this, though, Sean. So wait, you telling me 5 years of being competitive is better than 5 years or with 2 of the years you are elite and the next 3 years you being bad and one of them years you being elite you won? That's crazy to me.
I'm saying that that's only become the mentality recently. It used to be, let's get this team through this process, and then hold up, we got these guys that are around this age, and we say these guys around this age, we can run with this team for the next 5 or 6 years and be in the hunt. And if we have some things break our way, which happens every year, we have some things break our way, then we're good. That's why Philly is so scary. All of their guys look like they are going to be there for the next few years. Yeah. And they've gotten a lot of their main pieces locked up. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 2017 when they beat Brady and them. But the fact is that they built something that they say, yeah, we can sustain this thing.
Right. But Sean, even with the Eagles, for that Super Bowl win, they sacrificed it and they had to fell off for a minute and got it back on track.
The only reason why they fell off is because they had a bunch of injuries. It wasn't that the team was bad; they had a bunch of injuries.
Yeah.
So, and the fact they were able to retool and rebuild as quickly as they did, I think, speaks to that organization. But it wasn't when they won that Super Bowl. It wasn't like, oh, we're gonna go out and go get all these high-priced guys and blah 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 and yada yada yada. No, they built that thing organically and through the draft and through smart moves, and that's why they were able to win. And they were still competitive. That the next year, 2 years after the Super Bowl, is when they had all the injuries and Carson Wentz was a complete dumpster fire. So that's what I'm saying. It's a sustainability when it comes to it. It ain't just getting one. Anybody can get one.
Anybody can't get one because my team ain't won one yet. If anybody will, you need to call them up and say anybody can get one and make something happen for me. Me and you go agree to disagree on this topic because I'm sorry. I'm taking that one. I'm taking 2 good years at the Super Bowl and be trashed the rest of the way over 5 years of being contenders. I went through that with the Chargers during the LT phase. I'm good on that.
Yeah, but again, the Chargers, that's a different conversation. Because again, no, I'm serious. Because you think about that Chargers
injuries.
That 07 Chargers team was very talented. The only difference to me was once LT was ineffective because I think he was hurt in that AFC Championship game.
Yeah, hurt all the time, hamstrings.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. They ran LT into the ground. So that's why the Chargers didn't get further. They ran LT into the ground. But they had a lot of talent, no question about that. Yeah, but anyway, man, we need to get to these predictions, man. Come on, man.
Get these predictions, man. Yeah. Let us know. We go into predictions next. 100%. Let everybody know in the chat and let Sean know. I'm gonna definitely have to clip that up too. We got to clip that up. Go with him. Tom Brady versus the field. Sean was wrong. We was right. Sean don't like Brady. He used to be a Buccaneers fan. Don't like the Buccaneers no more. We want to do AFC, NFC. Sean, where we going? Where we going?
You know what? Let's do some NFC first.
NFC. All right. Well, let's go NFC predictions. Sean, we're going to do yours first. Wait, so everybody see it first. This is Sean NFC division predictions. All right, Sean, let me move this other banner off so everybody can see each and every one. Give me a second. Okay. All right, Sean, go ahead.
All right, so these are the predictions, division predictions. The NFC East was pretty easy to pick for the most part. I think, obviously the Eagles are the class of the division, but the Cowboys will be right there in the hunt with that defense. The NFC North was not the easiest division to pick, but I do buy into the Lions quite a bit. I think they will win the division. I think it's going to be a close division, but I think the Lions win the division. Jordan Love, I think Jordan Love is going to be okay. I don't think he's going to be a game breaker this year, but he's going to be okay. If the Packers defense can live up to their billing with all those first round picks, so yeah. And then the Vikings, obviously at 3, they'll be good, but again, not good enough. And yes, Dylan, I had the Bears at 4. And the reason why I had the Bears at 4 is because even with all so many, where the improvements, because the offensive line still looks awful.
That's crazy.
The offensive line looked awful in the preseason. And my fear is that even with DJ Moore, and some of the improvements, that the offensive line is going to be the Achilles heel. And I'm just not a big believer in Eberflus. I'm sorry. I'm just not a big believer in Eberflus. And I think the Vikings fell back some, but I think the Packers are still going to be good. And I think the Lions got better. So that's why I had the Bears at 4. Listen, somebody got to be at 4. Okay. Everything got to be 4 when you do these predictions.
Yep.
All right. NFC West, the Seahawks. I picked the Seahawks to win the division. I think they have far less questions than the 49ers. 49ers are the 49ers. They're going to be good, but I think I'm not sure if Brock Purdy is as good as advertised. You know, he could be good, or he could be Jeremy Lin. Who knows?
Yeah. Jeremy Lin.
You know, so I think he's more Jeremy Lin, but
I think he's more Jeremy Lin too.
Yeah. So glad we agree on something. I got the Rams at 3rd. I think the Rams are they literally are, paying for all of those moves they made.
When you go all in for a Super Bowl, you can either be trash. It makes sense. Look.
Yeah, you can't be trash in LA for too long, though. That's the problem, because you become irrelevant. So their fault.
It's still a Raiders town, no matter how much they won. It's a Raiders town.
No disagreement there. And then the Cardinals at 4. The Cardinals are tanking. It's the Caleb
clearly taking.
So the Cardinals are number 4, where they want to be. And in the South, I had the Falcons at 1. I think it's going to be a very close division, though. I had the Falcons at 1. I like what the Falcons did on defense. They have really, really gone out and made a lot of moves to improve their defense. And if Desmond Ridder is just average, and he can get the ball to Bijan Robinson and Drake London and Kyle Pitts.
Please get Kyle Pitts the ball. Like, geez.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm getting a little tired of my Kyle Pitts fantasy season's not going well. But the point is I think the Falcons win the division by 1 game. The Saints will be second. Saints will be second again. Some questions about the Saints, mostly for me on the defensive line outside of Cam Jordan. And Dennis Allen is still the coach. Not a believer. Everybody's on this Derek Carr train. I think Derek Carr is okay, but I don't think Derek Carr is going to move the needle very much. But that said, in the NFC, the Saints should still be a playoff team. Panthers are going to be better. A lot of people slept on the Panthers last year. Their defense was actually really good last year. And they played really well under Steve Wilkes once they got rid of Matt Rule. I know Bryce Young's a rookie. He's going to go through his growing pains. But that said, they got a really good infrastructure around him. And Frank Wright is a really good coach. And then the Buccaneers, yeah, that's fine.
The Buccaneers, yeah.
No, it's fine. Hey, listen, they are what they are.
You probably like that. He probably like that. That's wrong.
I don't care. I have no feelings about it. This is going to be a down year for them. They've lost a lot of pieces.
Big Baker.
Their offensive line is not very good at all. Might be the worst offensive line in football. When your right tackle, who's got to move to left tackle, has to go see a psychologist about moving to the left side of the line, that scares me if I were a Nets fan. But yeah, so these are just my division predictions. And so
that's our picks for the NFC. Make sure you guys screenshot this. I want you guys to vote on see whose side was better. But now it's time for your boys' pick. It is SB's NFC predictions. And me and Sean list is a lot different. At least on my list, the Buccaneers are the Buccaneers. So maybe Goat knew that you didn't like the Buccaneers, so he put the Buccaneers. So, let's go ahead to the NFC East. I believe our picks was the same a little bit. Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. I think our list is the same about that one. Yeah. I think the Eagles are pretty much still set to win. I think our East and West is pretty much the same.
It is the same. It's the same.
Yeah. So I think the Eagles are pretty much set to still be very competitive. What you love, just being consistently good. They didn't really lose too many guys. They brought the same team back. Cowboys, there's a lot of questions going on with the Dak situation. Him being, how he be when he gets upset, and Trey Lance on the way. I don't think Trey Lance is going to take his job, but they put the pressure and put Dak on the hot seat, telling me Dak is going to be gone. Giants, I don't trust the Daddy Dimes. And they didn't want to pay their bail count on offense, so I think they're gonna have a little problems this year. And everybody, I know this, all majority of these teams made the playoffs. Their schedule was easy. Now all these guys won all those games. The schedule's not gonna be as easy. So don't expect the NFC East to be the NFC beast what y'all was doing. They're gonna go back to being the NFC least. Then the West, yeah, I got the Seahawks at 1. I think we're gonna see a lot of improvement, especially with Geno's and the boys. Like you said, it's a team with not too many questions going on around their organization. I think they're gonna be great. 49ers, they're great all around besides quarterback. But now I'm hearing that they don't want to pick Nick Bosa. So Nick Bosa might be on the market. And I heard he might be going to an AFC team. Hopefully the Chargers put the Bosa boys together on the line. The Rams, you know, they don't have too much going on. And the Cardinals are clearly tanking. No debating on that. And if I'm Caleb Williams, I'm clearly staying in school. Okay, on to the NFC North. Yes, the Bears. The Bears are winning the division. You don't like it, Sean? I love it, though, to see the Bears go win the division. I think they added everything that they needed. The defense is better. Yes, the line might be a little bit in question, but that's why you got that mobile quarterback in Justin Fields. But I think the line has been better than it was last year to give more time to operate. And then the Bears are going to get back to what they do best, run the ball and play great elite defensively. With the Lions are always going to be the Lions. Jared Goff could be like Matthew Stafford sometimes. Then he could be like that dude Orlowski who ran out of bounds in the Lions jersey. So I never really know what I'm going to get. So I question that. Then, yes, you did add David Montgomery. Shout out David Montgomery, possibly getting David Montgomery on the show too. So I think their running game would still be as good, even though I think they lost Jamal Williams, but they got Gibbs too. So I think they went a little bit younger and stronger with that. I wish Jameson Williams could actually stay on the field to see how great he is. I think the Vikings losing Dalvin Cook go make them take a big hit because I think like Kirk Cousins is a very overrated quarterback. As a guy, very mid, but he gets more credit because you get a guy like Justin Jefferson next to you and Dalvin Cook that makes you look a little bit better than what you really are. And it's always going to be F the Packers. I might be a Chargers fan, but I'm from Chicago. Fuck the Packers, okay? F the Packers, F cheese. If you got a cheese head, if you wearing green and yellow, F your Jordan Love gonna be washed. They're gonna be trash. They was only good because of Aaron Rodgers was on that team. Aaron Rodgers gone. The division is wide open. So then let's go with the NFC South. I got the Saints winning by default. And I'm surprised with you having the Saints head on. You did not pick the Saints. I'm very disappointed in you. And then I think Goat had my list wrong. I didn't put the Buccaneers at second. I know darn well I didn't put. I was the Falcons at second, Buccaneers at last. So we got to redo that list, and we will be posting this on the community post so everybody can see. So we got to switch that around too. But I had the Saints, the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Buccaneers because I just think the Saints are going to win by default. The Falcons did make a lot of moves. I think they're going to be better defensively. I can't necessarily trust Desmond Ridder till he shows me something. I think that kid that they drafted, Bijan Robinson, going to be great, but I think there's a lot of pressure on that kid to be great. Panthers, Bryce Young, they're young. They're going to be better. J.C. Horn, I like that defense. Like they offense, we go great. And then the Buccaneers are another team that's clearly tanking, and they dealing with what they dealing with from winning that championship, which we have to do. Sorry, Chad. I see y'all going crazy in the chat. But yes, this is my list, Sean. SB's being biased. Let's go, Dylan. Yes, sir. F the Packers.
All right, so I want to say this really quick.
We said, y'all got? What we got your New York Giants? Third.
Third.
Yeah, third. Go ahead, Shy.
Yeah, just
for the record, before everybody vote, I got the Falcons at 2. Buccaneers are last. Go put them in the wrong spot. Let me make sure I check before I try to say something about Go, but I know I didn't do that. Yeah. Go ahead, Shy.
You might have. But no, I just want to say
I did. That's my fault. That's me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So your North predictions is my only concern.
Okay.
The Bears at 1 is. I mean that's Stretch Armstrong, bro. That's just Stretch Armstrong.
The division's wide open. Schedule's easy. They can compete with everybody.
It just when you just
Mike got the best quarterback in the division.
I mean, I think
you can argue it.
I'm not disputing, Justin Fields' talent. I think he's incredibly talented. My concern is can they protect him? Because I think the big problem when I watched the Bears, especially last year, was too often he was trying to be Superman, And yeah, I know his legs are an absolute weapon, but I think there are teams that are going to try to neutralize that threat as much as possible and make him beat them from the pocket. Now, again, I like the DJ Moore addition. I just feel like the Bears are a year away, and the Bears are able to take the 2024 draft picks they got, particularly that first round pick they got from Carolina, trading back and continue to build a true line around Justin Fields, so he doesn't have to be Superman. Then I think you'll see the Bears be the Bears. But also, I need to see another year of Eberflus. I saw nothing from Matt Eberflus last season that made me say, "Oh yeah, this guy is on his way." I didn't see anything from him.
Now, I agree with you with everything you're saying, but I've seen this from perspective. The Bears was tanking last year. I watched the game against the Bills, and I remember this game. This game I did with James White. I was literally that dying cold hands. I still have freezer burns on my hands because of being in that booth. The Bears would get turnovers because the defense gets stops. The Bears would get turnovers and they just run the ball. It'd be 3rd and 12. They'd just run it still. So, you can blame it on the cold too, but I think the Bears was clearly taking it, and obviously it worked out in their favor because they had the money. They had the top pick, trade down. So now I think we're going to literally see more from this team, and I think you're going to see more from Justin Fields too, because people try to label Justin Fields a running quarterback. He can't run, but people forget Ohio State, he was lasering the ball, and he can throw that ball. So I think, like, if the Bears, I think if not have the best defense in it, if not have the best defense in a division, it's very possible how chance they could, and have the best quarterback. I think they have a shot to win the division. It's between the Lions and the Bears. Only thing I just question with the Lions is, like, the Lions always be the Lions. It's just some weeks they look elite, the next week, like, they're going to 8 weeks straight dominating. Then the next 8 week be trash. So I'm just going with the more safe pick to me. The safest pick is to pick the Bears to me. I know a lot of people might think the Vikings, but I'm not trusting Kirk Cousins. I will never trust Kirk Cousins. And then the Packers, everything depends on Jordan Love and Jordan Love being elite. So I'll shine. I'm sorry. I can't fold.
No. I ain't know it's your list. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, just at the end of the season, if the Bears are 4th in the division, we're gonna come back and revisit your choice.
Yeah, and then when we come back and you see your list here, and the Bears are first, and you had them 4th, we just go.
That's fine. Listen, I would throw if the Bears win the division, I will throw on my Walter Payton jersey.
Okay.
Stream at the end of the season.
Okay, bet. I like that. I like that.
So I know we got AFC. I want you to go first for AFC because I want to hear some of your logic with this AFC thing.
Okay, so obviously, hold on, let me put my banner up so everybody know what we're doing. This is SB's. Nope, that's Sean. See, look, SB's AFC picks right here. All right, so in the AFC, let me go ahead and do this right here. AFC East. I have the Jets winning the division. Yes. Aaron Rodgers' first year. I hate to give the man credit. I got him winning the division. I got the Dolphins second, and I got the Bills having a down year. Yes, the Buffalo Bills. Put your tables up. You have a down year. Obviously, the Patriots are finishing last. I'm gonna say the AFC West last. Obviously, I'm gonna say that for last. Let's do AFC South. Let's do the obvious one. AFC South, Jaguars, Titans, Texans, Colts. I believe it's a 2-team race between the Titans and the Texans. The 2 teams to win 7 games. Because obviously that's all you probably need to win a division, 7 to 8 games. And I think the Jaguars go get the job done. NFC North was probably the toughest one to actually rank, honestly. Because I believe this might be one of the toughest divisions in football. Because even with the Steelers being last, they could actually still make noise with that defense in that division. And Kenny Pickett might actually play a little bit better. They don't need Kenny Pickett to be elite. They just need him to be average. With Najee, you got Johnson, then you got NFL young boy, the other receiver. Then that defense has always been elite. So they have the pieces to be great. So I want a lot of people to understand this. Do not sleep on the Steelers. The reason why I'm picking the Browns, I'm thinking, like, out of every team there, they like the all-around best team, and they got talent everywhere on the field. Whereas, like, it's not too many question marks with the Browns. Then it's like with the Bengals, still, offensive line, Joe Burrow health. Is a defense still, is they secondary still gonna hold up and be good? Ravens, is defense, is the receiver core finally actually gonna be good enough for Lamar Jackson to air it out and we see Lamar Jackson true arm? with his receiving core. Steelers, you know what I'm saying, with Kenny Pickett, they still learning. So I just think with the Browns, with Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, and those boys, and the talent that they have on the all-around field, I think they're the most balanced team. So I'm thinking picking the Browns might be the safest pick for me. But I think they're the all-around team. Let's go to the AFC.
Yeah, and it should be Browns. It should be Browns with
Browns. Brown, yeah, I'm gonna make sure we fix it. And we're gonna post these on the community post so everybody see our predictions. AFC West. It's time. We're gonna see John Cena. Your time is up. My time is now. The time is now for the Chargers to take over because Sean, you already know. I got Justin Herbert winning MVP this year. So I can't necessarily say I got this guy winning MVP and not winning the division because winning the division has had to be a part of that. I think we added somebody to our receiving core with Quentin Johnston. We got Austin Eckler back. Justin Herbert, obviously the best quarterback in the division. Yeah, you see how I threw that in there, but I couldn't keep a straight face saying that. But yeah, Justin Herbert, the best quarterback in the division at the end of this year because he's going to be the MVP. Our defense with Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa is going to be great, and then possibly get Nick Bosa to add to this team because Nick Bosa is available on trade. We already beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead, Sean. We can do it again, and we're going to do it in LA too. The Broncos is not a factor at all. I think just because you signed Sean Payton, that is not going to change Russell Wilson IQ and his throwing ability, so that's not going to change anything with that. And then the Raiders are trash, and I treat the Raiders like the Packers F the Raiders. So tell me about my list. I know it's a W list, Sean. Just tell me how much this list is such a W.
Well, sir, first of all, I want just to point out to everybody watching that of the two of us, you see who's the most objective with their predictions and their takes.
I'm not objective. That's facts. I didn't say nothing objective.
I don't bring personal fandom to this stuff. I try to be objective and look at every team individually.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes. Now, everybody knows SB is a diehard Chargers fan. He's only like one of three. It's like him, Ice Cube's son, and maybe LaDainian Thompson. So,
shout out to LT.
Yeah. So, just know that this list is coated with a little bit of, fandom. That said, I actually like your list for the most part. The East and the AFC East, we'll go to my list in a second. But the AFC East, I was back and forth between the Jets and the Dolphins winning the division. I agree with you on the Bills.
Also, you agree with the Bills having a down year.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah. But I think what people are not going to talk about enough with the Bills is they've lost, some key pieces, particularly losing Tremaine Edmonds, middle linebacker, who's now with the Chicago Bears, obviously, and then having Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator, out for the season. Now Sean McDermott has to take over coordinating the defense and play calling. And I just think the Jets and the Dolphins all got better, and the Bills kind of stood pat and really lost some things. So I agree with you on that. All right. Why you had the Texans over the Colts, though, I'm not sure.
It was just like a pick 'em with that one. It's like whatever. It was just like whatever with that one. Because I feel like even though Anthony Richardson is going to like ball out, and I think he might win Rookie of the Year, but I just think like they're not going to care about winning. So let's go ahead and get into Sean's AFC prediction list. But I appreciate you you like my list. I just try my best to be honest all the time. Especially I don't like being biased. I just got to keep bringing the facts to the people.
Yeah. So yeah.
Go ahead, Sean. What about your list?
So your list is very similar. The AFC East, the only swap is I have the Dolphins winning the division. The Jets, coming in second, but I think this is going to be a very close race for first in that division between those two teams. Again, as I said, I think the Bills kind of take a step back. I know everybody's going to go crazy because they have Josh Allen and blah, blah, blah. The Bills still have not shown they can run the football when it matters most. And again, the losses on defense do concern me. I still think they'll be good, but but I still think they'll be they're just not where they've run the division the last couple of years. I think the Dolphins and Jets have not only closed the gap, I think from a talent standpoint, they've surpassed them.
Yeah.
The AFC West, this was easy. It's the Chiefs. It's still the Chiefs. It's going to always be the Chiefs. I think the Chargers are a playoff team, as they were last year. But I don't think there's a coach on the hot seat more than Brandon Staley.
Should have been fired. If anybody should have got Sean Payton, it should have been us because we he actually fits what we need to do.
Yeah. So, and they had the highest paid quarterback in the NFL currently.
Well deserved.
But
That's
the point
crazy.
I mean, listen, well deserved is relative. But that said, he's a really good quarterback. Nobody's disputing that. And now it's time to live up to that billing. You got paid. Now it's time to get paid. Broncos at 3. I think Sean Payton's going to be an upgrade over Nathaniel Hackett. Obviously, everybody's talking about that. But they've had some key injuries in camp already, particularly to some of their receivers. And so I just think that the Broncos are, from a talent standpoint, are the third best team in that division. Even though Sean Payton, I think, is right there with Andy Reid in terms of play calling and play design and things like that. So, but I think they're third in the division. Raiders are fourth. They're a dumpster fire. Josh McDaniels does not know what he's doing. Has proven once again he does not know what he's doing.
Unless he cheat.
Yeah. Jimmy G's probably going to get hurt again. And even though they got the young kid, Aiden, the backup, the rookie, I think they'll be one of those teams that'll probably be, right there in the top 10 in the draft. AFC South, Jaguars are the cream of the crop of that division. Another year of Trevor Lawrence with Doug Peterson. For me, the key for the Jaguars is, defensively, can they be more consistent? They would have halves, they'd be really good, and some halves where they would be really up and down. And then the other thing, I love the addition of Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin bounced back season after being out last year with the suspension. So watch out for Calvin Ridley and the Jaguars. Titans are 2. They're going to be tough. They're going to run the football. They're going to play solid defense, but they just don't have enough talent. And I think, Ryan Tannehill knows this is probably it for him in Tennessee. And my belief is this might actually be Derrick Henry's last year in Tennessee.
I think so too. And then trying to look, this is how I know I'm not a hater and my list wasn't biased. I put the Jaguars at 1 too. You know how much I hear 28 overall? I mean, all year. I could have been a hater, just put the Titans first. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were.
That's why I'm saying my list not biased.
That one time. Yeah. So I got the Colts at 3. I think the Colts are obviously, they're not the Jaguars or the Titans, but they're better than the Texans. The Texans this is a rebuilding time, not even season time for the Texans. So I just put the Colts at 3, and obviously the Texans, they got some young players. This is about development for the Texans and figuring out who's a part of their future with D'Amico Ryan. The AFC North was very difficult.
Yeah, you got to understand why the Bengals at 3. You got to explain that to me.
So I will in just a second. The Ravens, for me, and when I looked at the AFC North, I just kind of went by which teams from a talent perspective, top to bottom. And so for me, the Ravens are the best team top to bottom talent wise in the AFC North. Lamar obviously got paid, but they were able to go out and get some of the best weapons Lamar will have ever had in the NFL. Their offensive line is really good. Their defense is really good. Watch out for Kyle Hamilton at safety. I think he's going to be a monster this year for them. And I know Marlon Humphrey's out with an injury. We know when he gets back, he'll be, right back in there. But I just think the Ravens are the best team in the division. I had the Browns at 2. A lot of people are making a big deal about Deshaun Watson, as they should. But for me, it's the other side of the ball and what they brought to the other side of the ball. They got Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator. And for those of y'all who don't know, Jim Schwartz was defensive coordinator for a very long time with Philly. He was the coordinator of that Super Bowl defense. Take advantage of a lot of that talent they have on defense. They're going to be more aggressive. They're going to be tough. And a lot of people, again, making a big deal about Deshaun Watson. I still think that offense goes through Nick Chubb. And as long as Chubb and Watson and Amari Cooper are healthy and that offensive line plays up to par, because I think it's a good offensive line, they're going to be – I think they're a playoff team. I have the Bengals at 3. A couple concerns I have for the Bengals. Number one is their offensive line I know they spent money to get Orlando Brown, but they got some questions on the offensive line, and
I don't understand how like they ain't fixed the offensive line yet, Sean. Like that's getting ridiculous now.
Well, because they're notoriously cheap, SB. That's why. They don't like Mike Brown does not like to spend money. That's why. See? And then secondly, the other thing that nobody's talking about, they lost both of their starting safeties, including the Pro Bowler,
Jesse Bates.
Jesse Bates, who went to Atlanta in free agency.
So that's a hit.
Yeah, so that's a big hit for me. And again, I know they have talent, and it's not that I don't think they won't be there in the fight. I'm just looking at the completeness of the roster, and then the Steelers at 4. The Steelers obviously are a very good team. Their defense is always going to be right there. How much more can they get out of Patrick Peterson? Because they seem like they ringing that rag to the end. It is what it is.
Run that man dry, man.
Yeah. So Kenny Pickett, can he take another year of development? Is the offensive line going to be better? Continue to be better? Are they going to be balanced enough on offense with Najee Harris and with getting Pickens and Freiermuth and Deontay Johnson and Allen Robinson, the football? So that's what I really want to see. And we know what Mike Tomlin is as a coach. We don't have to even talk about that. So these are the predictions for the AFC.
Yeah, well, it's a good list. Like I told you guys, this will be on the community post of me and Sean's prediction. Let's go through it again. This Sean AFC. Then this is Sean's NFC picks. The Buccaneers is crazy. And then this is mine, SB. This will be posted on all platforms too, so you guys can see the list. I think I think we cooked up a little bit. We're gonna have to see for this one. I can't believe you ain't picked the Saints. And then SB's AFC. Huh?
It ain't about fandom, SB. I just call it like it is. I do have legit questions about the Saints defensive line. I do. And Dennis Allen's still the coach. So
I mean, those two things I will not argue with you on that. I will not argue with you. But yes, like I said, these will be posted, guys. Make sure you guys comment, make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, subscribe. Who was more crazy with their prediction? Was it me? Was it Sean? Let us know. Let us know. And I think, Sean, we went a little bit over time, but we had a good show today, man. Sean, good show. Another good show again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like I said, every Monday and Friday, you can catch me and Sean chopping it up. Real takes over fake debate. Sean, any last words before we go ahead and kick out of here and enjoy today Friday, right? Yeah, Friday. Enjoy our Friday.
Today is Friday, yes. All day long.
1 days.
Hey, listen, I know it's a long weekend. Have a safe holiday weekend, Labor Day, whatever you do. Just be safe and just make sure you get back home. That's all.
Yep, that is 100% true because it is the holiday. So make sure you guys enjoy your holiday. Make sure you guys like. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys tell a friend. Say, hey, man, watching this cool sports show with these two cool brothers who drop knowledge, entertain. They go at it from time to time. We know when Sean hate on the Buccaneers because he used to be a Buccaneers fan. Then he hate on my Chargers because he don't want to get Justin Herbert credit. But just tell a friend and tell a friend, like, look, this is the show you need to be watching every Monday and Friday. So, yeah, SB Talk Sports, real takes over fake the basic with my boy Sean Webb. And on to the next one, guys. See ya.